fellow human! Welcome back to another Dank Doggo / ChoosingBeggar videos. So, what gaming console do you guys own? What is your all-time favorite? Mine is undoubtedly Game Boy Advance. Gotta catch them all, my friends! The first story is by Leos1023. Free gaming system isn't good enough. Give me an Xbox! Hey everyone, hope you're all doing okay with everything that is happening right now with the COVID-19. Alright, let's get to it. I'm a gamer and have a lot of older systems. A family friend, who we'll call Nice Mom, said I wouldn't mind bringing over a system so her son could play something. Now I get it. Kids are stuck at home right now, so I felt bad. I later said that I would give my Dreamcast and 15 games to her son for free. But her son didn't like it. He later dissed my gift and said I should have got him an Xbox instead. So we'll call him Ungrateful Child. He's around 11. The conversation went like this. I knocked on the door and Nice Mom let me in. Nice Mom. Ungrateful Child, OP is here. He bought you something. Ungrateful Child. What? OP, hey man, I brought you one of my gaming system. I don't play it anymore, so you can have it. Ungrateful Child. Really? OP, yep, it's all yours. I'll set it up for you. He went to the bathroom and then he came back with a disappointed look on his face. Ungrateful Child. What is this? OP, a Dreamcast. Ungrateful Child. I thought you got me an Xbox! OP, no, I can't afford an Xbox. I turned it on and put on Sonic Adventure. I later proceed to have some coffee with a Nice Mom in the kitchen. Then, Ungrateful Child start muttering while playing. This thing sucks! He should have got me an Xbox! Should be an Xbox! Nice Mom then walked me to the garage and apologized to me for her son's behavior. She then proceeds to pack my system back in the box. Ungrateful Child, what are you doing? Nice Mom, giving OP his game back? Ungrateful Child, but he gave it to me, it's mine! Nice Mom, well, I'm giving it back. Next time, don't complain when someone does something nice for you and demands something else. I warned you about being disrespectful. She gave me my system back and thanked me for offering it to her sons for free. Moral of the story? Don't be picky when you get a free gaming system and diss the guy that gave it to you. Well, that kid surely doesn't deserve this. Younger me would be so grateful. A gaming console with 15 games for free is super amazing. We have here the second story written by u/Hound3. Guy said he won't pay after eating. Backstory, my cousin who went to the same school as me was trying to raise money for some of the school's 4-hour trip and their teacher said they need to raise as much money as possible. He's in the 6th grade and I was in the 12th. I had called my buddies and told them the situation and they said we should do a bake sale or barbecue lunch sale. We had decided we could do a big bake sale because who doesn't like cookies, right? We had our mobile kitchen that we usually took to deer camps or other place we stay for a while. It had 4 ovens, sinks, the whole deal. We decided we would set up outside the junior high school football game because we were all football players and we thought that we're to see everyone. It was awesome at first. We all wore our jerseys and even decorated our sports in the school coolers. My little cousin is having a great time and we're making awesome money. We all average about 6.5 to 6.8 feet and my cousin was about 5'4", so everyone thought it was adorable. The beggar comes up. Since we knew about everyone there, we would give them cookies and they would pay. He asked for 8 chocolate chips and we just got a fresh set of those and we gave them to him. Before we can even ask if he wanted anything else and how much it'd be, he woofed them all down. And then I told him how much it'd be and he said, I thought you were giving samples. What made you think we would give you 8 samples? I said. Poops! That's all the ducker said and just stood there. My friend who was there at the table and said, you still have to pay. I don't have any cash, beggar said. You still have to pay, a-hole, my friend said. I then sent my cousin into the trailer asking him to see if there are any more cookies to be ready because I felt this could get hostile. The guy then slowly started to walk backwards and then run. My friend at the table was our running back, so he darted over the table and chased after him. He caught up with him, and the guy threw out $20 at my friend and kept running. My friend grabbed the 20 and ran back, which was $12 more than the original cost, so I was quite happy. We raised over $831, which put them over the amount they needed, and the class got to go on the trip. Well, gotta say that's an amazing cousin. And holy moly, they managed to raise over $800? That's insane! Next up, we have the third story shared by u/Terrific Moose. My brother wipes out my parents' retirement with his sense of entitlement. This is a long one, so strap in and I promise it's worth it. So my older brother was always spoiled by my parents, not because they wanted to treat him special, but because I always the quiet one and never spoke up when I wanted something. They would almost always result in us getting or doing whatever my brother wanted. Unfortunately, this gave him a sense of entitlement a mile wide. When he was a teenager, he had some struggles with mental health. These were absolutely legitimate and made everyday life debilitating for him for years. My parents wanted the absolute best for him and so paid for private. I'm not American, so we have public system with the option of private care if you can or wish to pay, psychiatrists and psychologists the best they could find. My dad had a good job at this time. Throughout our lives, money was not a huge concern. This seemed to be helping, and at around the time when I was set to go off to university in a different city. At the same time, my brother, with the support of his care team, decided to start his tertiary education in the same city as me. There was no university in my hometown, and several of the best universities in my country are all in one big city. This made the living arrangements for my parents much simpler. As they helped pay for our rent, we flat together, and we paid for everything else. They agreed to support us through university, and then we'd be on our own. My brother had a small episode on the day that he was set to start his classes and didn't go. This resulted in him being removed from his program. It's a compulsory first day. He could try again at the start of the next semester, halfway through the year. A major setback, but hardly limiting. The logical thing would be for him to move back home until he could start again. His student loans stopped once he was removed from the program, so he had no money to live away from home, and I should get a flatmate for the place I was staying. My brother didn't like this idea. I should know that my brother hated living at home. He thought that our house was too small and our neighborhood was too poor looking. We were a middle-class family who lived in a nice house that my dad built. It just happened to be in a low-income era, because when my dad built it, he was not as financially secure as he was later in life. It was an awesome neighborhood with a good sense of community, and I love it there. But again, my brother had a huge sense of entitlement and thought he deserved to live somewhere else better. Next thing I know, the new psychologist he's seeing in our new city has written a letter to my parents saying that an opportunity to immerse himself in this new city will allow him to more easily transition to study. Oh, and he was not well enough to work either. He should focus on getting used to his new surroundings. My parents, wanting what is best for my brother, allow him to stay living with me and give him an allowance which is equal to what his loans would have given him. Great, so everyone is happy, right? Not my entitled brother. The allowance he was getting wasn't enough for him. You see, he wasn't a student, so he didn't feel like he had to live a student lifestyle. He wanted to eat steak and lamb for dinner. He wanted new clothes every few weeks, a new iPhone when it came out, a new MacBook because his was low. Again, my parents decided to get him some new goodies every now and then and to keep him happy, and they also upped his allowance again. After a few months, he was getting more than twice as much per week as student loan would give. And because I was buying groceries, most week he had almost no ongoing expenses once utilities were paid. Second semesters rolls around and my brother hasn't even bothered enrolling. His psychologist, who he sees weekly by the way, again out of my parents' pocket, wrote another letter and things drag on again and again. Fast forward 3 years and I'm getting set to graduate while my brother is still not working or studying while living in an apartment paid by my parents. I get a decent job in my field at the university I studied at, and so keep living in an apartment, except now I pay for half the rent as well as half of the other expenses. By this point, my parents are just paying my brother half of the bills directly while still giving him an allowance that was close to my salary. I've been getting increasingly annoyed by this, as my parents don't want him living on his own due to his illness, but he's refusing to come home with the support of his psychologist. I suggest sending him for a second opinion, but he again refused, and my parents respect his wishes. So far, not much begging going on, right? This is where it really gets wild. After I have been working for about a year and a half, our landlord decides that he wants to sell our apartment. Okay, this happens. We start looking around for a new place. My brother goes completely off the entitlement deep end when we're apartment hunting. He refused to look at anything that wasn't well outside of our given budget. Anything inside of our budget is too small, or too old, or too dark, or too ugly. He wants a modern new apartment in the heart of the city in one of the most expensive suburbs. His psychologist writes another letter outlining the importance of a comfortable environment for him. My parents cave, but I can't afford half the new rent. They compromise with me, and I only have to pay the same rent as I was before, which is barely 1/3 of the rent at the new place, mind you. I want to get my own place at this point. I'm mid-20s with a serious girlfriend who I intend to marry one day, and I want to start my own life without my brother attached. But my parents begged me to stay for just 1 year. It's a beautiful apartment, I can still save while staying there, so heck, why not? I wasn't happy, but I could live with it. Unfortunately, my brother's now used to getting everything he wants or needs. He started asking me to pay more and more of the groceries. Idiot me, thinking that mom and dad would cut down his allowance now that the rent is so expensive, agreed to take some of the slack. Big mistake. They were still giving him the same amount, he just wanted more. He started asking me for more and more things and then whines to mom when I don't give it to him. My parents cave over and over again and get him whatever he wants. A new computer, new MacBook, new iPhone, heck, even a car. Up until this point, my parents could afford everything, especially with me helping out where I can. I was still saving for a house. I wasn't willing to throw away my future for my brother's present comfort. My dad had a good job, and they were saving well for retirement. They were honest with me about their finances, as I would eventually be the one who got the power of attorney when the time came. My mom is a pragmatic woman about that sort of thing, even if she has trouble saying no to my brother. But then, my dad stopped getting paid. He has an unusual job and works in a remote location away from home, and while he was stationed away, the company he was working for just vanished, with the owner leaving the country. Now, he can't leave his post until he's relieved. It was an important job, and there was legal ramifications for leaving his post unattended, so we were stuck there with no pay coming in. This resulted in him essentially losing his job and going months without being able to look for new work. Really messed him up for a while. He was only a few years away from retirement, so he decided it was time to kick back and enjoy life. My brother lost his mind. He raged for days on the end that my dad betrayed him by not continuing to work. He would yell at mom over the phone saying that they had better keep supporting him because he deserves the lifestyle that he has earned, whatever that means. I remember him saying that very vividly because I laughed my butt off at it, which turned into a huge fight. Knowing that my parents couldn't afford that rent without dad working, I decided to move into my own place and to try to force a resolution. I ended up finding a nice place of my own that my girlfriend and I move into. My brother, however, refuses to leave. He again get a psychologist's letter and to try to convince my parents to let him stay. He even has his boyfriend, really nice guy, but a struggling artist working on commission, offer him to move in with him. Next thing I know, he's still living in the ridiculously expensive apartment with his boyfriend struggling to help cover when he's able. I move on with my life, fall mostly out of contact with my brother, and start my own adult life properly. I get married and settle down. 5 years go by, and when I'm visiting my parents one day, my mom breaks down. It turns out that my brother had spent the next several years after I moved out refusing to reduce his spending or get a job or move home or anything. He would constantly blackmail my parents, saying that they would make their sons homeless if they didn't give him the money. He had been doing that for years without my knowledge, and my parents didn't know what to do. His very expensive medical team was condoning his behavior. My parents had burned through almost 2 decades worth of their retirement savings trying to support my out-of-control brother. I decided to visit this psychologist myself only to find out that she is one of those tell people what they want to hear so they keep giving me money predatory type psychologist who was enabling my brother because he was a cash cow for her. Our entire family was furious. Turns out my brother had been recovered since his first year living away from home. He was perfectly able to work or study, he just didn't want to, and so she wrote him those bogus letter to let him get away with it. He decided to milk my parents of their savings to fund his lifestyle because he had earned it. When he confronted about it, he was entirely unapologetic. He's now cut off completely and works for a retailer, complaining about my parents' lack of respect for him on Facebook every few days. I again want to emphasize that my brother had legitimate mental health issues, and I do not want to take away from that. He just chose to willfully deceive everyone about severity in order to demand that everyone else give him the life he feels he deserves. And no, his mental illness would have in no way contributed to that attitude. It was not that sort of illness. He's just an entitled butthole. TLDR, my brother decided to pretend his mental illness is worse than it is in order to guilt trip my parents into funding his extravagant lifestyle over a decade, draining their retirement savings in the process. Okay, wait, what? So they just gonna let that psychiatrist off the hook just like that? That is a massive scam and fraudulent act. And as for the brother, I'm just speechless. How could you do that to your own family, your birth givers? Moving on to the final story. He threw soda in my face and car. I was driving for Uber and it was particularly slow evening. It was winter here in the south and about 8 p.m. so everything was about to close down anyway. I decided I was only going to stay out for a little longer and decided to grab some KFC grilled chicken. This choice was strictly a matter of convenience since the restaurant was directly to the right of a drop I just had. I should also note that this was not the best era of downtown that I was in. I pulled into the drive-thru, rolled my window down, when all of a sudden, a man comes out of the dark, places his hand on an open window, and asks me to buy him food. He is in my face, I can't say no, and I genuinely thought that he may actually be hungry. So I said sure. He backed away from my window without so much as a thanks. I ordered both of us grilled chicken meals with green beans and soda. I don't actually drink soda and was going to give my soda to him as well, along with the meal. I slowly drive around the building after collecting food, but this time keeping my eyes open for the man. When he sees me, he jogs up to my car and I hand him the bag. He asked me what it was and I told him it was grilled chicken and blah blah. I handed him the soda next. He looked puzzled for a minute, leaned back into my car, and threw the soda and food in my face. It splashed everywhere. It was all over me, my lap, my steering wheel, my doors, etc. I didn't even know the full damage at the time because I was frantically rubbing my eyes and screaming. I heard the guy yell, "I asked for the extra creepy tram!" All while I was screaming. This couldn't have taken too long because I got really scared and booked it out of there. I was shaking and crying. I went to the first decent gas station I could find and washed up best I could. This has pretty much scared me for life. I trust no one asking for help now. Well, it's horrible how nice people like this will deter people from helping others that might actually be in need. That's it for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.